Welcome to Turmeric and Tequila with your host, Kristen Olson. Questioning a better way, one gracefully disruptive conversation at a time.
Welcome to Turmeric and Tequila. I am Kristen Olson. I'm excited to be here with you today. As always, we are going to give a quick shout out to our title sponsor, Lux Neuro. Lux Neuro offering neurofeedback and counseling where your heart and mind align. For more information about what neurofeedback can do for you, listen to the Neurofeedback Stories of Transformation in the middle of this podcast. Neurofeedback effectively treats everything from insomnia, anxiety, depression, trauma, ADHD, and much more. Optimize your brain at luxneuro.com. Without further ado, I want to jump in. We have some incredible humans doing incredible things from the WNBA Watch Club. We are very excited to have them, Lindsey Vander-Fertgus and Dea Vander-Fertgus. Am I close?
Yep.
We even practiced that. Yeah. Yep. Welcome to TNT. We've been talking about this for a while. We are going to talk about the WNBA Club and your passion there. But before we do that, if you listen to Turmeric and Tequila, you know we always jump into the human behind the mission first. So I'd love to hear about our young selves before we jump into the business side. So give us the tea on kiddo versions of you guys.
Hello, I'm Lindsey. I grew up in Canton, Ohio, and growing up, I've been involved in sports. So I grew up playing, at the time, baseball, then went into basketball, and then jumped into volleyball. So going through high school, or middle school and high school, played softball with Dea. We played against each other. We played basketball against each other. So we met in 7th grade. We're now married and have grown up playing together, sharing our passion of sports together. Came from a family where my dad loves sports, so that's how I got into sports, playing football and baseball and loving the Cleveland Browns. So every year my heart's broken, and
Broncos country can identify with that strong.
Yeah, so which know. I mean, but like what, 8 years ago we won? I don't even know how long ago. 8.
I think it was at least 8. Yeah.
So it was fun to be here to watch us win the Super Bowl, but we're nowhere close in Cleveland to coming anywhere close to that. But so growing up, like loving LeBron and just like people like that. So then recently, just a couple years ago, really jumped into loving women's basketball, watching women's basketball. Still play sports now as a older adult, and I can't imagine where my life would be without sports. So.
Amen. It's, hey, I'm Dea, and my story is very, very similar to Lindsey's. As you've already heard, we've grown up together in Canton, Ohio, and we moved here in Denver 11 years ago, just after college. But I also played sports growing up. I don't remember when I started, but I started playing softball right away. Loved it, played all through high school, a few years of college. Played basketball growing up too, ever since I was in elementary school, but wasn't as good. I think I made it to my sophomore year of high school when I realized like I was like a really great bench player at that point. I wasn't like the greatest. I was good at shooting, but that was where it drew the line for me for playing basketball, but I still love it and love watching the games, my favorite sport to watch. And so, yeah, since growing up together, having sports as a major part of something that we have in common, that's kind of part of what led us to watching women's sports together and starting the WNBA Club.
I love it. I forgot because I never usually do a pre-interview or pre-question or anything, but we did. We signed up for like a call for like 20 minutes, ended up talking for like an hour and a half. I'm like, we basically just podcast, but we'll do it for real in real life. But I forgot you guys knew each other so young. That's wild. I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty solid if you can still be friends, let alone be married after, X amount of years.
Yeah. We were friends growing up all through middle school, all through high school. And then just didn't start dating or realizing to start dating till, your infamous college years or whatnot. But we realized while we were dating that we ended up going to preschool at the same school way back when.
What? Oh my gosh.
And it all had to do with, we had this same preschool little arts and crafts like Christmas ornament on both of our trees.
Okay.
And we realized we both had the same exact one.
Was it this logo?
No.
Okay.
It was just
in
like
our hearts, yes, but on the tree now.
Was it the like the piece of tree?
No, it was like this heart. It was like a heart-shaped picture of us with like lace around it.
Oh yeah.
Seriously? Yeah, with
Yeah.
like lace.
Oh my god.
So they like took a picture of us in preschool. We like must have cut it out and like slapped some lace on it and gave it to our parents for like
that's wild.
Christmas,
That's
yeah.
like a friendship bracelet where it's like chopped in the middle and then you put it together.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay. God, Universe Madonna always knows. Like you
Yeah.
guys had.
Yeah. And I know my mom still probably has that ornament
I
to
hope
this
so.
day.
My mom
Yeah.
still has my ornament too. That's how we like figured out that we were like
Meant
like,
to be
hey, like we
together.
have the same ornament. And then we like, her mom like ripped out the preschool pictures and we were standing right next to each other in our preschool picture.
That is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We both
very
look
wild.
so miserable in our picture. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
It's a
Because
good
we're
picture.
wearing like dresses and all girly and
Obviously,
we
we
knew-
didn't like
This
it.
could be a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
Like I forget
Yeah.
about the WNBA Club. Let's
Yeah.
just say it is. That's
Yeah.
so wild. Okay,
Yeah.
so it was definitely in the stars early on.
Yeah.
It would be one slide better if you guys were like sitting on basketballs or
Oh my
something
God. Right.
to that effect. Like all of your whole future plan was in one little like
Right.
lacy heart.
right.
Yeah.
That is so wild. Okay, so fast forward, we get to Denver. You both had full-time jobs or have full-time jobs, doing the thing. Women's sports have popped off. And I should have said this earlier on. We're actually in the 99ers Sports Bar, Denver's first bar dedicated to women's sports. They're crushing it. We're super excited. I've been stalking them for at least a couple months. So we finally have all of our troops together. And the beautiful through line is women's athletics. And we're going to talk about advocacy and all the initiatives they're building, but really it's about women's sports. And it's wild that we're all over 30 and it's taken so long for women's sports to get to the next level. Obviously, we're on the shoulders of many varsity women before us crushing the game, but with the pop off of women's college basketball, the women's soccer, I mean, we have clubs. Like I went to one of your guys' parties and we had grown men tearing up at that we had, 50 women there to watch women's sports, myself included. I'm like sitting there watching women's sports, watching a guy get emotional about women's sports. I'm like, what is happening? Like, I didn't even know this was a thing when I was in high school or in college. Even that was 20 years ago. Like, this is a thing. So when you guys were playing and growing up, did you ever envision like we would be in the arena quite literally, like the way men's sports were when we were growing up? Like, could you believe this is going to be a thing?
It's really hard because I felt like when I played sports, I felt like it was such a magical time. Like
Yeah.
we were in that time, but like
Yeah.
now as an adult, like looking back and being like, oh no, like we weren't in that time. But no, I just never thought that it would be like this. So I'm really excited that it's to this point. It's here. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think growing up, like I wasn't exposed to women's sports. It was like we would play baseball with the boys, and my basketball team, I was the only girl on the basketball team growing up. And so it was always like I didn't fit in because I wasn't exposed to the fact that there was women's sports going on during that time. And I think the beautiful thing about social media is that you can market yourself. And I think that just women and like women's sports in general has taken off because like our generation and generations past before us and future generations growing up, they want to see the players and they want to see the women playing. And so I think it's super cool, and just the timing and the momentum, like this is the time for this stage of the growth in women's sports. And I think every generation has played a significant role to get us to this point.
Absolutely. Amen. I'm a big advocate for life skills through sports because I wasn't like the school kid. Like I got good enough grades to play lacrosse or to do what I was doing. And I was the oldest of four. I had 3 younger brothers. So I was always the only girl all the time. So I had this sense of like, I felt lucky to get to do those things. But through sports, I kind of got my like life of education, working with other people and commitment and discipline and whatnot. What sort of angle for life or personal or mental health community did sports play for you as young people or even grown adults?
I think friendship. That's where I've met the people I connected the most with, for sure. No matter what sport it was, I had the most in common. And I think still to this day, sports is the thing that unites me with other people. And many of the thousands of reasons of why we started this club, like we've regained friendship with people over sports because of it, which has been really, really cool. In just this short 2-year period that we've been doing it, we like are connected with people now, and we go and do other things with them. And it all started with just watching like a WNBA game together.
Yeah. And I would say similar to Dea, connections with our friends, and similar to you too. I wasn't super into school as well, but that made me work really hard in school to like take responsibility, make sure I was being responsible, getting good grades, just because I love sports so much and I wanted to play. And it just helped keep me organized, and very similar to you.
Do you feel like it was a major part of like your mental health? I didn't grow up necessarily with like mental health conversation, but I knew when I tore my ACL and I couldn't play, I was like, oh my God, like who am I? Kind of lost everything and had like breakthrough at 19 years old, 2,000 miles away from my family. So it was a quick of like, oh, this does matter to me. Like this is everything. Like what did sports facilitate for your mental health even before you had that conversation growing up?
I think for me, I realize now later in life that playing sports growing up kept me organized and structured, and didn't leave my mind to like go off and wander, because I'm an overthinker, and it helped kind of quiet that extra noise. And I find that now, like because I'm retired from playing like slow pitch softball, and I don't have like the structured like recreation league that I would go play in. I find that if I don't go do like my own physical activity, like go to the gym or whatnot, I'm lacking in that, and I struggle with like not necessarily like losing control of my mind, but just like keeping it quiet.
Sure. Yeah, and I would say like as a kid growing up in the Midwest, like mental health wasn't something that we talked about a lot. So looking back on it now as an adult, I would say that it definitely helped, because it was just going onto a field where 8 other women and I can share this passion for a sport that we all know, and that we were competing all for the same thing. We wanted to win. We wanted to get better. So yeah, I just think, and even now as an adult going and playing softball, I'm just like, I'm going to step onto a field with other similar minded people where we can just let loose, have fun. We all know the sport. So it's just like kind of feeling like at home, because you're just doing this thing that you've done for so long.
Yeah. I mean, as we get older, you never really just play anymore. So to have like that space that's held for you to just go do whatever, like, and sports are awesome because it's such an equalizer. No one really knows what do you do for work or what do you care about or what. I mean, it's just, we're just here to straight up play. And we need more of that as adults. I mean, we've got election year coming. We've got all these like really intense energies coming. And like, sometimes you just have to like breathe and go play like a kid and like get to that space to check in with your mental health. And your body gets addicted to the physical outlet of endorphins and everything else. So once you're without it, like it's a whole different conversation. You realize how important it is. All right. So the other side of Turmeric and Tequila is community. And this is like my favorite thing. And obviously I love that we've got women's sports and women's basketball, but you guys are literally facilitating a community out of, blood, sweat, and tears. Like this isn't part of your job. And I hope that it does become that way one day, but you guys are just hustling this and getting really awesome, like-minded humans together. And it's a big deal. Like I said, we have people showing up, like tearing up that this is a thing. Like, tell me how this started. Like, what was the origination of this idea and now how it's grown to what it is?
A couple years ago, we had the honor of like going and volunteering at the Final Four. So it's when LSU won. And yeah. And we just soaked up every minute that we could go to. So we went to this together event where Neca and Diana Taurasi were there.
Okay.
And at the end of the event, they asked for questions, and I just like kept my hand up the entire time, and I was selected to go last.
And I was like, a good student. Like,
yeah, I was just like, I just had my hand up the whole time, and I saw like the guy who was choosing like nod at me, and I was like, yes, I'm getting chosen. So I got to ask Neca, just because she's like the president. So I was just like, as the president, like, what can we do as fans to help with expansion? And she was just like, oh my gosh, this is like such a great, like, this is such a great question. Like, thank you so much. And she basically was like, buy merch, show up to games, watch us on TV, just like listing off all the things. And I think we all know that just watching the games wasn't even that easy. Like, we would turn on a game and it wouldn't even be on, or the score wouldn't be up, or it said that your event hasn't started, and we would be looking on ESPN and be like almost through the first quarter. So it's just like, even though we were trying to help support the WNBA, we're still being prevented from doing so because like the networks don't have their shit together and they don't have it updated because it's just women's sports. And like, that's just how we kept feeling when we started the club. So that's kind of like how it started, was getting to ask Neca that question. And then I'll let you explain. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So like what she said was great, but we were already doing those things as two people. And growing up in Ohio with her dad, who is a diehard Cleveland Browns fan, he's a part of a club called the Browns Backers, which is like a WNBA club, or that's what I modeled all of this after. And it's a legit club. It's partnered with the Cleveland Browns, and there's over 300 clubs across the world. So not just in like Ohio, not just in the United States, but like if you travel to Europe, to a city there, you can get on their website and find where their club is, contact I don't know what they're called, but I'm going to call them a commissioner, to see like when their watch parties are or whatnot. And growing up, like we would go with her dad to watch parties, and whenever we would go back to visit during the winter or whenever football season is, during Christmas time, we would go on Sunday to their chapters watch parties, and he would get so excited to like introduce everybody to us. And then when he came out here, we learned that there's 3 chapters of the Browns Backers in the city of Denver, Colorado.
And we're like diehard Broncos country. Like, what's going on?
It is,
but there's so many other people who live here.
Yeah. And then
There's other fans besides Broncos.
Where?
Believe it or not.
They like, if you, I don't remember, I think, is it Stoney's?
Stoney's is one.
Yeah.
Stoney's like uptown. So
like if you're driving by there on whenever the Browns are playing or before, you'll see them all come out of the woodwork with their Browns gear on and go right into that bar, which is really cool. And then like wherever you go, like he looks it up, and he has like his community, and he doesn't even have to like know who they are. He just contacts them, they get back to him, and then he has like friends that he's never even met yet. Mm-hmm. And I just like had this feeling that there are people out there that would want to connect and enjoy the games together or commentate on the game after the game. And I wanted to find them. And I just thought it was kind of like the perfect thing, because the WNBA is a league that I really, really love, and probably like get really obsessed about it too much. But I wanted to be able to talk to someone, not that like talking to Lindsey is like
We've been talking to her for like 50 years.
Yeah. But like we're just like, yeah, what do you think? And I'm like, I agree. And so
geeking out so much together.
And then if we talk to our friends that aren't or weren't WNBA fans, or like knew a lot about it, I just felt like we were just like talking their ear off, because we just blurted out. And so just having people to talk to and share that is kind of how it started. And this year it got a lot bigger because of just so much exposure during the college game. And I think just the momentum has been going in the WNBA for many years. And it's just kind of that like snowball effect of it's like to this point where it's like a giant snowball at this point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, you can jump intentionally, but you need a lot of things to go right. And that's why I'm just so excited we're at, because you can have the passion, you can have the background, you can have the intentionality, but you also just need like the world on the same page, like open to whatever's coming. So a lot of things have to align. But you guys literally were being teed up and schooled for this position, like from second grade, from like partnership to being around dad's family and going to the Bears or Browns club. Like, I mean, you were literally learning this intel the entire time, which is kind of wild.
Yeah.
And then now here at this time, like you're right on time to do what you love anyways, have a teammate in the game, literally and metaphorically, and like take off. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, I get sometimes super obsessed with doing the things for the WNBA club, because it's just something I'm incredibly passionate about. And I enjoy doing it. I enjoy finding new places to watch games at. Seeing new people come for the first time is always so rewarding, because they don't know what to expect. And it's like now at this point, like having our watch parties is kind of normalized, which is kind of sad, because like the first ones were so special. And it was exciting when like 6 people would show up, and just you had those people to talk with. And it was exciting when the bar was able to figure out how to turn on the volume, or they happened to have this strange channel, or the game happened to be on ABC or something like that.
So you want more of the challenge? Like, it's already working. You're not full corporate yet. Like,
yeah, no, it's like I just enjoy the
small wins.
Yeah, I guess the small wins, and just like getting something that should have deserved this whole entire time, like holding that little special place for like how it was before.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, but you were one of those opening the doors. Like, what your work paid off. Like, I feel like that's attributed to humans like you doing those things. Like, yes, we need, Gillette and Nissan and all these things to come through and invest and promote, but like, you also need boots on the ground, quite literally opening up the doors and holding space. Otherwise, it really doesn't happen. As a marketing professional, you can put all the money into a lot of things. This is why a lot of businesses don't work, because if the community's not coming out, it's not going to work. The money matters, but it's not everything. So
yeah,
give yourself a little bit of a pat on the back, even if it's not as glorious.
Thanks. I mean, one day I would just love to walk into some random place and a WNBA game be on, without someone requesting it, or it just be like a natural thing. And I think we're getting closer to that, and not necessarily like it be like a prime time game, but just like some random game, the 6th versus the 8th seed or something like that.
Yeah, I think we're close. It blows my mind watching some of the college games and the professional games, and you see like young kids, boys and girls, in women's jerseys. Like, again, this was we 3 younger brothers who went to Nuggets games all the time. I don't think we went to college games, but I don't even think I could have fathomed that we'd be watching women's sports and my brothers would be in women's jerseys. Like, I don't that. So to see that that's normal for these 0-year-olds, 10 years from now, there's no way that's not going to be a thing.
I know.
They're just, all the games are on all the time.
And we'll be talking to youngsters like, there was this time when no one wore women's jerseys, or women weren't even on TV, or there were not places to go watch women's sports. And because before the boom of like starting like women's sports bars, like you literally had to travel to the one sports bar in Portland, and that was like that's a vacation like I want to do. And like that, I hope in time would be like a strange thing of like, you have to travel to go to like watch women's sports.
I think it will be. Yeah. Well, I remember we used to be like, yeah, you're lucky you get to play sports. When I was in high school, we had the option between swimming and cheerleading.
Right.
In my mind, I'm thinking like, ugh, like that would have been horrifying. And now I'm going to be that old person, be like, you're so lucky you get to play, la, la, la. And the girls are going to be like, yeah, I got to go to practice, bye.
Yeah.
But which is cool. Like, I'm glad it's like going to that level. But it's just so weird to think that's actually a thing. Like, it's crazy.
Right. And it's so important though to tell those young girls like all the history that came, because they'll be fighting for something, because there's something that they don't have or that they need that is just not provided to them. So even though they're like, okay, grandma, like, you had to choose between these 2 sports, like, they know that there's things that they're missing out on and the inequities still.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of room for growth.
Not only are they going to get the story, they're going to be like, here's 16 podcasts that you can listen to in full to like break down each piece of this sports history so you know what's going on.
Yeah.
Was there like one sports moment that like defined it for you guys? Like, was it like 99ers or like soccer? Like something that like stuck in your mind, like, I love this changed me? Or was it kind of just like, I always love sports?
For sports or like women's basketball? Or?
I mean, sports, you as an athlete, like any defining moment within the game that was like, this is a piece of who I am.
I think for me, like my parents put me in sports and piano, and they put me in things that like I was like semi good at as a child. And I think what I enjoyed about playing softball, because that was like the sport that I was actually pretty good at, was like the tomboyness of it, of like being sweaty in the dirt with other people that wanted to be sweaty and in the dirt playing and competing, because I always enjoyed that. And then I think that like still that community piece of sports, it just happens to be that people that play sports, like I have a lot in common, and it doesn't even have to be like the sports thing, just like personality things.
Yeah, you're people.
Yeah. And I would say just when my dad signed me up for baseball when 2nd grade, so you're like 8, I just think it just came so naturally to me. And I was like really good at it, that it was like I didn't really have to like work hard to be good at it. And like I had all the other boys on my team's respect because I was really good.
Okay.
So just kind of like knowing that, and then just being like going to play any sport, just being like, this is fun and like I like it and it's enjoyable, and just if I'm not really good at it, then I could work at it to be good. So it's just
She's good at like every single sport.
Hey, okay.
yeah, but like just
Everyone.
like it just felt so natural. And
That's awesome. I love talking about those kind of moments because so much of the conversation with Turmeric and Tequila is for, people our age, whatever, but I love for parents to hear or young people to hear, like, look for that light. Like if something turns your kid on and like you can just see them fall in love with, sports or piano or, acting, I don't know, whatever it is. Like, I think that's just such an important piece of intel to like, let them go down that path. And more than likely it'll keep them on the straight and narrow. Like it did for me, because I didn't care about history or math at all. But I would do it because it's a part of, the plan to go play lacrosse and do whatever I was going to do.
Right.
It's such a huge piece. So now you're facilitating community. We've got it going. It's wild how fast sports have just kicked over to the next thing. I cannot believe the sponsors getting in the game, the business around it, the jerseys, the Olympics just happened, like major stuff's happening. What is like the next big thing for you guys that you want to see the WNBA club go? Like, what's the next big goal?
I would say like locally, I don't know how far out big goal. Like I guess I would say like getting a team here is obviously like a big goal. It's a big goal that has a lot of hurdles. I'm still just struggling finding this secret family investor because no one will tell me. And so if you're listening, secret investor, like please hit me up. Or like, I don't know if like Kroenke's still in the game, but just like that whole thing has to like work out with the arena and blah, blah, blah. So I don't even know like where to go with that, but the people that I've been meeting that come to watch parties have been very informational and helpful and resourceful and supportive. And so I feel like I'm taking like small baby steps towards getting somewhere with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I would agree, like obviously getting a team here, but I think with like all the hard work that like you've done with all the Instagram posts and networking, I think being able to like have a partnership with the WNBA, and whatever that would be, like kind of like how the Browns backers are partnering with the Cleveland Browns. Like we don't have a team to partner with, but we have a league to partner with. And since we are just really like, I think we all have our favorite teams, but just supporting all the women in the league and just wanting the expansion to happen.
Yeah.
Just having some kind of partnership with the WNBA, I think would be really awesome.
That's
so
awesome.
I don't know exactly what that would look like, but I think it would be.
Yeah. In my mind, if that were to happen, I feel like there would be more clubs that would pop up because they would be more aware of it because of their reach and just a more organized way for fans to watch, to socialize with, and have fun with their communities for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I'll put it into universe. We want a team. So Denver, municipal city, investors, community leaders, I know you're watching, come through. I think it's big. And I think we're knocking down the door. We talked about this very early on because I was like, all right, you get the community. I'm like, I'll dig on the business side. Colorado's very small. Everyone's connected to everyone. Someone's got to know someone.
Yeah.
And if you're moving ships, there's not a huge community doing that in the sports arena. No pun intended. So it's got to be like one handshake away or some, I don't know. I know sometimes you got to just put it out there and let things come to you. That makes me like uncomfortable as a business person and an athlete. Like you got to go do the work. But on the flip side, like it's out there and there's a lot of conversation happening about it. There's money somewhere. So if there's some little spark, there's fire somewhere. Like it's going to happen. I think in 2024, facilitating the community, you always have to have the funds, kind of like we spoke about earlier, but really you need the people showing up. So I think you guys have a ton of power with your passion, but also your people that are showing up for you to facilitate that conversation, because Kathy, the commissioner, coming out and everything, they're going to need like, numbers and formats and business plans, but they need community. Like they need people saying like, we're here. Right. Where's our team? Like, let's go. So she's already out here once. So I know it's close. This is like, this is my energy around because I know it's close. And if we can make, as a lacrosse person, indoor lacrosse a thing in Colorado 15 years ago when we didn't even have, strong college teams, we can make women's basketball work.
Right.
There was, I think, 13 initial indoor lacrosse teams, and none of them did well except for Colorado, because the marketing and everything sticks out here as an athlete, as sports. So like WNBA, come on now, like
Right.
it's got to be a thing.
Yeah, we did look it up, and we saw that the Valkyries to start them was 50 million.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, like 50 million.
That's
and we were
affordable.
kind of like, yeah, we were kind of thinking it'd be like the Green Bay Packers, where like the fans like own 51% or whatever. So we were just like, yeah, like how much could we put in? How much could like all the other people who want a team here, how much could we like get a stake in the team, and then just get the other half from Kroenke or Peyton Manning or
I'd rather
whoever.
see it
Yeah,
diversified, just so the powers diversified. It's a whole
Right.
other podcast, but
Right.
agree. And I think that would be amazing and necessary. Also, that'd be a good angle for marketing, because then they immediately have potential consumer.
There's a lot of angles there, I think, that you can play. So keep, I think, putting that out there. And if it was like incredibly like ownership, like across the board with the fans or key leaders, I think that would change the game. And I actually think you guys could be a great model of how to do some of these teams differently and like take it to the next level.
Right.
So, and like I said, the people that did the lacrosse teams, like they did the marketing while nobody knew indoor lacrosse. So you have sports humans out here to make it work, and you're already doing it. Like you have the people showing up. So like it's this close. Like
Yeah. And are you familiar with the like campaign for the Women's Soccer League here?
not a little bit, not really. I just saw that Mahomes' wife is a part owner. So we have Brittany Mahomes, not out here. I think is it their Kansas City women's team?
Yeah.
So there's other like women, Angel I know invested, Reese and stuff. So no, I don't, but I've been keeping tabs a little bit on the business side.
Yeah.
Enlighten me.
So there's like a group that does watch parties to campaign for a women's soccer team here. And
I forgive me if I'm misspeaking or whatnot, because I don't watch soccer frequently. So I don't know if it's like the pro league or there's other kind of pro leagues, but they are partnered with the investors. So their watch parties are like, hey, like we're pumping money into these watch parties and the marketing and whatnot to bring out the people to show whoever makes that decision why Denver would be like a good soccer city. And so it would be amazing to whoever is like seriously considering wanting to invest in a women's team here to work with us in some capacity, because we've already started to make those little connections and find people.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, I mean, there's so many options. I feel like they're going to hear it in this conversation. They probably already have it. They're probably already looking for you guys right now.
I don't know.
I'm gonna put it out there, because that'll be so huge. And then the flip side of that is, if we have that figurehead, then they do youth teams, they do like associations, like it brings so much more to our youth sports.
Right.
That's really my passion piece, can get like our young people in the mix. But that just opens up so much more opportunity and exposure to sports, which is awesome. So what's coming up next? Watch parties. I know we just had the Olympic break. This will come out, a little bit later than this current moment. But what's coming up for you guys? Anything you guys want to share or announce that you want your community or new community members to know?
Yeah. Do you want me to share? Yeah. Okay. So we have a watch party tomorrow, which is Wednesday, the 21st of.
Oh my gosh, I don't work right now.
August
so I don't
21st.
Where are we?
2024,
Okay,
5:30 p.m.
Yes. Thank you. So starting tomorrow is our first watch party back from the
Olympics, and then we have two more in September, and then the regular season ends, and they haven't put out the playoff schedule yet, so those watch parties are gonna be like a quick turnaround type of thing. So I don't know how I'm gonna like logistically like contact venues and whatnot, because it goes super quick. It's a really quick playoffs, like the rounds and whatnot, so things happen like every single night. But we will have some of those somewhere. And then I just created like a nationwide page, because we've grown, like our cities have grown, starting in Denver here and then branching out. There's 9 cities across the US that are like WNBA clubs, going back to her dad's Browns backers thing, and it's actually kind of happening. Like there's 9 of us now. And so I made a nationwide page to kind of corral and all the information from the different places, so it can be in one place. to start kind of that organization of now getting the different cities connected and staying connected. So if you travel somewhere, you know who to contact so that you have your people there, whether it's you go watch sports or you just want to like join a meetup or whatnot, you would have your community. So those are some upcoming things that are.
9 is incredible. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thanks.
And this all grew within like the last year.
Yeah, because last year was our first year, and when we had our first watch party, it was just her and I. We were the only two to show up, and yeah.
And now 9 different cities. That's wild.
9 different cities.
And we ended last season with having to cancel our playoff watch party because
The venue canceled on us.
Okay.
It went from being like incredibly frustrated at the end of last season with the so many barriers of coordinating to watch the WNBA in public to this year having like the next 3 watch parties are at 3 different owned women spaces in Denver. And so the demand or like people are wanting to collaborate with us now, which is really, really great because it's just bringing more exposure to the game.
Oh man, I said this on our initial call, but I'm putting this on paper / record. I think not only are people going to invite you out bars and whatnot, or restaurants or venues, I think they're going to be paying you at some point to show up because you will have that amount of community and loyal community to bring into their mix. Like I'm telling you, that will absolutely be a thing.
Yeah.
So hopefully sooner rather than
awesome,
later.
yeah.
Well, if you bring in a group of people, it's a big deal, and it's hard, for these establishments to do marketing and get whatever. And if you've got good people that behave, or are good customers or whatever, like that's what our world needs right now. So that's really cool. Do you guys? This is a random question, but do you do any outreach to like schools or anything like that, or women's sports teams or youth sports teams, just letting them know who you guys are and what you do?
Yeah, so our first like connection or like partnership or invitation like at our watch party was with our semi-pro women's basketball team here, the Denver Dynasty. And I've been following them like this whole time that I've created this account, and we've always like crossed paths, like going to like college basketball games. And since then, like behind the scenes, I've been communicating with like different women's college basketball teams here in like the Denver metro area to do things, and logistically like with schedules and stuff, that's like where we're trying to find what's going to work best. And then I just went to a local like women's sports like event this past weekend, and it was really cool because it was like just sports, but it was like that there are women working in sports. And so I got to meet a lot of different local places that have something to do with sports in general and exchanged contacts. And that's something that I want to do in the future, is like at each watch party, highlight something local that has to do with women's basketball, like mostly, but like women's sports or like nonprofit organizations to just kind of model after what the WNBA is and what sets it apart from like different leagues is they're very big advocates. And that's one of the many, many things that I love about the league. And I respect what they're doing as players and want to model that in this small little club. That's awesome.
A lot of the communicating, she's mainly all behind the scenes on Instagram. I'm the kind of help organize, and I'm on the microphone when we're like at watch parties and things like that. But I wouldn't mind reaching out to schools, especially since we both were teachers, and I was a PE teacher, so I'm super into like all the boys and the girls or non-binary students, just knowing what's available to them and what we're doing, and just promoting the club and knowing that even if you don't like to play sports, or if you just like to watch sports, that there's like this community that is here that welcomes all people.
I love that.
Yeah.
So last question I usually ask is, what is success to you? I feel like we kind of answered that. So I want to switch it on for these few podcasts that we have here at the 99ers. And I'm going to say, why is advocacy important to you?
I think advocacy is important to me because if you are complacent, you're like not giving everyone like an opportunity to really flourish and be their full, like reach their full potential. whether that's for you and your community that you're a part of, or like a community that you share commonalities with, or a community that you have nothing in common with. Being an advocate for others, I think is important because everyone deserves those things.
Hey, Chris. And I would say definitely advocating for yourself before you can like advocate for others is super important too, because if you don't know your self-worth and know exactly what you want and you're not able to speak up for that, like you're not going to be able to do that for others. And I think once you have done that for yourself and you see how powerful it can be and how it makes you feel, I think doing that for other groups of people and seeing like what you can make happen is just so rewarding. So just kind of like going back to like how we started and who we were at the beginning, like it was just us two people pulled out special TVs out of the closet to put on this random game for us, didn't have the sound on. And now we are like in a space where all you hear is the game that we're watching with people who are interested in that game. And it went from being this little something to just trying to figure out what was going on in the game to now like everybody being invested in the game and like hearing the game. And like, it's awesome.
Oh man, I love it. And I hope you guys take a moment to like drink that in and like feel the journey. Like you didn't just talk about it and dream about it, like you did it. And I like, that's the difference between like making change happen is actually, I just think about it, but like stepping into the arena, like doing something that no one else is doing is huge. That's, I love for our young people or our potential entrepreneurs, like take the chance, like do the hard thing, like lean in, and it's happening. Like it's wild. So gold star to you guys. It's really, it's big stuff, and stuff doesn't have to start with this grandiose gesture. It can start with like one small step in the right direction, and then like you just keep following the path. Because we don't, none of us really know where we're going or what's next. Like shit's just coming together. But like you can't really plan. You just have to keep showing up.
And that's usually how things start, is just one little step forward, and you're just trying to figure out what you want and advocating for yourself and advocating for what you believe in and just following the path like you said.
I love it.
Yeah.
Let's go. All right, where do we find you guys? Hit us with Instagram handles, websites, anything you want the humans to know.
Cool. Maybe next year we will have a website, but I got to pay for a domain name for that. So hold that thought for next year. So currently we have an Instagram, Facebook, a Threads, and a Twitter. I think that's all the social medias.
And an email list.
Oh, and an email list. But I start everything on Instagram at WNBA Club _Denver. And all our other clubs are the same format, WNBA Club _ Syracuse, WNBA Club _ LA. And there's 9 of those. So you can find all about the different clubs at WNBA Club _ Nationwide, just on Instagram, because I'm just one person managing the socials, so I don't want to be too overwhelmed. And then our email list is very generic. It's tinyurl.com /WNBA Club. And I just type out a little homemade email to everyone with what's going on. And I think that's it.
That's it. And the graphics, let's talk about the tees. You got a whole graphic situation going on.
Yeah. So this was the original version. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but mine doesn't say, or ours doesn't say Denver, Colorado. This was like the original logo. But in my mind, I was thinking positively and deep into the future, not like next year. But I was like, what if there's like more clubs sometime? And like, what if 2 cities happen to have the same name? That's not going to make sense. So then I changed it to include the state. So maybe sometime that will actually happen, where there's 2 cities that need the same state. But I'm an artist and designer and former graphic design teacher, and I have like an Etsy store, and some of the things that are on there is these shirts, because we're small right now until we get bigger and I separate the 2. And so they're on that store, but then I have a bulk order of them that I bring to every watch party where fans can buy them as well.
Awesome. Okay. You heard it here first. Look at all the passion bleeding into a major cause that's taking big steps. We're going to get a team out here in Colorado. I promise. Or they promise. Let's put it on them. And but go check them out. Go come to a watch party. They've got tons of stuff going on. Get in the email list. You guys do a phenomenal job of informing the community what's coming up, what's going where. You do good with the details and stuff. So it's been an incredible journey. I appreciate you guys coming on. I'm excited. Maybe in like a year or 2. Maybe we're in Cronky and the team's behind us warming up or something, but I'm excited to check in just because you've had such growth. Well, you're amazing humans, number one, but then such growth so fast that it's an exciting time.
Yeah, going into the end of this season, next season, and beyond, kind of with an open mind and just enjoying the community that comes to the watch parties that we get to enjoy the game with right now and see wherever this goes. So, yeah, thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys coming out. Like I said, go check them out. We'll post all the details. A quick thank you to our sponsor. Thank you, Lux Neuro, Neurofeedback and Counseling. Lux Neuro wants to meet you. If you are ready to transform your life, visit them at luxneuro.com and schedule a consultation. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you find your podcast. TNT is everywhere, and we are also on YouTube. Cheers.
Thank you for joining Turmeric and Tequila with your host, Kristen Olson. Tune in next time, and don't forget to subscribe on Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.